I think there's no doubt that Donald Trump still wants Greenland. And I think it's going to come back again. It was out of the headlines for about 8 months, and then it sort of came back again, and I think it will. He is easily distracted, and I think this Iran war is a distraction for him. And the last thing Americans are going to want in aftermath of the Iran war, assuming it ends in a short amount of time, as they said that it would, which I'm not particularly optimistic about. But I think that the Greenland rhetoric is as damaging to the most important alliance the modern world has ever seen than as any rhetoric has ever been. The only thing I will say on this, Simi, is that if you look at polling on this, the vast, vast, vast majority of Americans are not supportive of any sort of American acquisition of Greenland. So Danes and Greenlanders should take some solace in that, should find some comfort that this is truly one man's wacky mission. And of course, unfortunately, that crazy man is president of the United States with enormous amount
Rufus,
of
on
power.
the one hand, you're saying we should relax and be happy that most Americans are against this. But you just said like a minute ago that he's going to come back and ask for
Well,
Greenland. What is going on?
he's going to talk about it again. I don't think that it.
No.
I don't think there is any scenario, and I believe this with all my heart. I don't believe that there is any scenario where Donald Trump acquires Greenland. I don't
Okay.
believe that that will happen. I think the idea that he sends some sort of military force in order to seize or annex Greenland is it's just
Okay.
it is. I mean, it is obviously a crazy concept. It is obviously a crazy concept, but it is. I, I think what you saw in Davos is
Mm,
him actually cave to the pressure, the unified pressure of the Europeans. And I would make the argument that the Europeans need to be much stronger here, but
mm,
I think they were strong in Davos, and I think that
mm.
mattered. I think that mattered, and he essentially pulled back. He sort of took the threat of military intervention at least off the table.
No, no,
I,
but Rufus, so
yeah.
why does he keep talking about it? Then is he just bullying or what is it? I mean,
Oh,
if
I
he's not
think
going
he.
to do it, I mean,
Oh no. Well, no. I don't think he does. I think he still believes that he can buy it. Like I think he still
oh,
believes that
oh yeah, he
that is
can buy it.
possible.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't. So I think he still thinks that there is a deal, and that's why the Danes and the Americans are continuing to negotiate. Now, I'm not in those rooms, and I don't know what the negotiating terms are, but I think he wants a win. Do I believe he's going to militarily invade? No. Do I think that our military would even tolerate that in this day and age? Probably not. And truly, and I do. I saw a comment on here. It's like Cuba seems to be next in line
Yes,
before Greenland.
exactly.
And I do think that's right. I mean, he has lost interest in Greenland for the time being, but he is focusing on things like Cuba, which look is its own issue and own kind of. Uh, and, it's a whole different topic. But again, what is going to be left after Trump's wrath, and no one is in favor of what the Castros have done to Cuba. At least Americans. It is in my mind it is a tragic situation. That being said, what what is the aftermath of the Castro regime in Cuba? And Donald Trump cannot answer that question.
So
It's
let's
a
just be clear about Greenland. I just want to make
yeah,
sure I
please.
understand it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you, from your perspective, you don't believe that he's gonna take over like with military force or have soldiers there, but he would like to buy it. So he's just
He
thinking
would.
that at some
Look,
point there will be the
I think
amount is gonna be big enough to buy it, or what?
I think so. I think this. I think that Donald Trump believes everything is a transaction. So everything can be bought. And I mean, you have some Republican senators say that. Ted Cruz went on a podcast not that long ago and said everything is for sale. Greenland says they're not for sale, but everything is for sale. And that's just not. I mean, as I'm sure lots of us on this call who are listening have been to Greenland. I've been there multiple times, and
Mm.
there's no scenario in which Greenlanders would, in my mind, the majority of Greenlanders, and of course the majority of Greenlanders would have to sign off on some sort of purchase, as would the parliaments, and there's no scenario in which they could be bought off to sell their land. Hey, and as someone who's spent a lot of time there, their land is Their land is their currency. The pride in their
Mm,
actual physical land, Greenlanders, is extraordinary, and it should be thought of that way. And I think the manner in which a real estate developer, which Donald Trump is, that's how he thinks about these conquests. In my mind, so do I don't believe that he'll ever use the military. That being said, I think that I think that the alliance and the Europeans, together with the Canadians, need to stand strong here, like you
mm,
did in January, and
mm,
don't. Donald Trump is a bully. And bullies respond to one thing, and that is strength and resolve. And that's the only thing it's the only thing they respond to. It's also the only thing they respect. And I have seen far too much weakness on the part of, and look, I understand that we are the problem here. Like we put the world in this position, but this is an opportunity for European strength and European unity and European resolve to fight back. And I think you have a lot more power than you seize
mm,
in this moment. I think, and I say this as a patriotic American. Um, I think that Europe as like a friendly rival to the United States, as
yeah.
opposed to being like the big brother, little brother relationship as we've
Mm.
been for so much of the last 70 years. I think that benefits both sides of the Atlantic. So I want to see that built up in Europe
So
as
we
well.
Europeans have to trust ourselves and have timid to ourselves
You
and,
do.
not let be bullied because if we stand together, that's why there are so many who are interested in destabilizing Europe as well. Because if
Right.
we are strong, then we can, say something against what's going on and be a powerful force because we are powerful if we stand together.
You are, and I mean, I do understand. I mean, look, culturally, it is very
Mm.
difficult for Europe to speak with one voice. But I mean, not to
Yes.
mention thousands and thousands of years of conflict across the continent, and thus you've looked to places like the United States and the UK. Well, the UK is obviously it used to be part of Europe at least.
Yes.
But as kind of a stabilizing force. But
Yeah.
I do think that that stabilizing force that has existed in the United States doesn't exist today. Now, do I believe it's going to come back? Absolutely. I think it's a huge mistake for Europe to look entirely away from the
Mm.
United States right now, because I
Mm.
really do believe we're going to come back, and I
Yeah.
think we're going to come back a lot sooner than you think. I This is my opinion, Team. I think MAGA as a political movement is dead.
Yeah,
I
well, that's the
really do.
question as well.
Yeah.
Where is MAGA in all this? I mean,
Yeah. Well, MAGA on the one hand, so you could make the argument that one, MAGA is very supportive of Trump. They are,
Mm,
but you look at the far right in the United States, and they've really lost faith in some of the policies of the Trump administration. So, yeah, the Iran war is probably the number one
mm,
example. I mean,
mm,
obviously, the Iran war is very unpopular among the Democratic Party, but even on some of the far right, I mean, you look at some of the far right talk shows, you listen to people like Joe Rogan or Megyn
mm,
Kelly, or some of these folks who are kind of far right but still sort of, well, I don't know what Rogan is. He's more libertarian, I guess. But yeah, obviously a very influential voice, and these people are speaking out really
mm,
loudly against the Iran war right now. And I
mm,
think that stuff, especially when it's wrapped into cost, how much we're spending, and that's impacting our daily lives.
mm.
That's going to really impact his numbers, and that going into an election year, that's really, really problematic for an incumbent party. So yes, I believe MAGA is dying. My goal is to destroy MAGA as a political movement in the United States. I look forward to a
And
good,
how do you do
healthy.
that, Rufus? I mean, how do you
Well,
try to destroy that? I mean,
truly to educate Americans that the nationalist, xenophobic, isolationist politics don't serve the United States and don't serve our interests, and that for better or worse, I'm not saying there haven't been problems with global. I am a globalist. Definitely, I'm not saying there haven't been winners and losers as a result of globalism, but ultimately, the world is a better place when the United States plays a leadership role in the world together with and brings our allies along. And the world is a better place when that happens. And so when the United States retreats from a position of power and authority and respect, obviously other countries are going to fill that void. And I think there
so,
are going to be countries
so
with
people are writing here, hopefully you're right about MAGA being dead. And then someone is saying, you just have to get people to vote and then MAGA is out. Well,
that's
which
no,
leads me to,
that's actually that's real. So I mean, again, like, look, I think that So so this is my most people would call me stupid for trying to make a prediction 7.5 months before an election, but it's right now. So all of it, so every member of the House of Representatives and a third of the Senate is elected in November, and I think it right now. I think Democrats are going to win back both houses. I think definitely we'll win back the House of Representatives, which will matter. But I think we'll probably win back the Senate too right now, and that could change, of course, depending on what happens in the world. But considering how unpopular Trump's policies are, both domestically and internationally, I think we're in for a good election. But we can't take it for granted.